The machine beeped loudly before Marcus even finished scanning his second item, unexpected item in bagging area. Please, wait for assistance. The robotic voice cut through the quiet hum of the store, louder than it needed to be, sharp enough that a few people nearby glanced over instantly. Marcus paused, his hand still hovering near the scanner, his expression steady but alert. It had barely been 10 seconds since he started. He looked down at the screen. Everything was scanned correctly. Everything was in the bagging area, exactly where it should be. Still, the red warning light blinked. Waiting. Calling attention. Marcus exhaled slowly, pressing the continue option. The machine beeped again. Louder this time. Please wait for assistance. A staff member across the self-checkout area looked up immediately. Not casually. Not the way someone glances at a normal alert. This was quicker, sharper, focused. I'll be right there, the employee called out. Marcus nodded once, even though he hadn't asked for anything. Around him, other customers continued scanning their items. Their machines made soft confirmation sounds. Normal sounds. No interruptions. No flashing lights. Marcus stood still, waiting. The employee approached. A young man with a tight expression that didn't quite match the situation. He didn't smile. What seems to be the problem? He asked. Marcus gestured lightly toward the screen. It flagged an unexpected item, he said, but everything's correct. The employee leaned in, not just to check the screen, but to look at the bag itself, carefully, closely, like he was expecting to find something. Marcus noticed that. He didn't say anything. The employee tapped a few buttons, then paused. Can you step back for a second? He said. Marcus tilted his head slightly. What? Just so I can check it properly, the employee replied. The words were simple, but the tone wasn't. Marcus stepped back anyway, calm, unbothered on the surface, but aware. The employee moved the bag slightly, lifting one of the items, scanning it again manually. The machine beeped once, then went quiet. No issue there, he muttered. Marcus watched him. That's what I said. The employee didn't respond to that. Instead, he scanned another item, then another, taking longer than necessary. Across the aisle, a woman finished scanning her groceries and walked away without a single interruption. Marcus noticed that too, because patterns matter. Okay, the employee said finally. You can continue. Marcus stepped forward again, placing his next item under the scanner. It registered instantly. For a moment, everything seemed normal again. Then it happened again. A loud beep. Unexpected item in bagging area. This time, more people looked. Not because of the sound, but because it had happened twice. Marcus didn't move immediately. He just stared at the screen for a second longer than before. Then he looked up. The same employee was already watching him, already walking back. I just fixed it, the employee said, his tone slightly more impatient now. Marcus nodded slowly. I didn't touch anything differently, he replied. The employee didn't answer that. He repeated the same process. Checking, scanning, adjusting, again, too carefully, too closely. Marcus folded his arms, lightly, not defensive, just observant. Does this happen often? He asked. The employee shrugged. Sometimes the system detects issues. Marcus glanced at the other machines. All running smoothly. No issues over there, he said. The employee followed his gaze briefly, then looked back. It's random, he replied. Marcus didn't argue, but he didn't look convinced either. Another employee approached from the side, an older woman this time. Everything okay here? She asked. The first employee nodded. Just the system flag. She looked at Marcus, then at the screen, then at the bag. Her expression tightened slightly, like she was trying to read more than what was visible. Let me take a look, she said. She stepped closer, repeating the same checks, but with even more attention. Not rushing, not assuming, but not exactly neutral either. Marcus stayed still, patient, because now it wasn't about finishing checkout. It was about what was happening around it. A man behind Marcus shifted his weight. You can use another machine, he suggested casually. Marcus shook his head slightly. This one works, he said. The older employee glanced at him briefly, then back at the machine. Sometimes these systems are sensitive, she said. To what? Marcus asked. She paused, just for a second. Item placement, she replied. Marcus looked down at the bag. Everything was placed exactly where the screen instructed. He didn't point that out, because it was already obvious. She cleared the alert again. Go ahead, she said. Marcus scanned his next item. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, beep. Please wait for assistance. This time, the sound felt louder than before. Not physically, but socially. Because now people were watching. Whispers started. Low, subtle. But there, the older employee straightened. That's strange, she said. Marcus let out a small breath. Yeah, he replied. It is. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse anyone, but the words carried weight. The younger employee crossed his arms slightly. Maybe it's the way you're scanning, he said. Marcus looked at him, calm, direct. I'm scanning the barcode, he said, the same way everyone else is. Another pause, longer this time. The older employee looked between them, then back at the screen. Let's just override it, she said. She tapped a code into the machine. The alert disappeared. The screen returned to normal. Marcus scanned the last item. No issue, of course. He placed everything into the bag and reached for his card. The machine processed the payment without hesitation. Smooth, simple, exactly how it should have been from the start. Marcus picked up his bag, then paused. Not leaving yet, not immediately. He turned slightly toward the employees. Can I ask something, he said. The older employee nodded. Sure. Marcus gestured lightly toward the machine. Why did it only happen here? He asked. The younger employee answered quickly. Like I said, it's random. Marcus held his gaze. 3 times in a row. No answer. The older employee shifted slightly. Sometimes the senses misread weight, she said. Marcus nodded slowly. But only for me. That question stayed in the air. No one answered it right away, because there wasn't an easy answer. A man nearby spoke up. I've never seen it do that before, he said. Another voice added, yeah, mine worked fine. The space around the checkout area felt different now. Not loud, but aware. Marcus picked up his bag again. This time, he turned toward the exit. But before walking away, he said one more thing. Not angry, not loud, just clear. It's not the machine people notice, he said. It's how you respond to it. Then he walked. No rush, no hesitation. The automatic doors opened, letting him out into the open air. Behind him, the store returned to its normal sounds. But something had shifted. Because sometimes, the problem isn't what happens. It's who it keeps happening to. And once people see that, they don't unsee it. Marcus stepped out of the store, the automatic doors sliding shut behind him with a soft mechanical sigh. For a moment, he just stood there on the sidewalk, letting the evening air hit his face. Cars passed slowly on the street, headlights reflecting off the glass storefront like nothing unusual had happened inside. But Marcus wasn't thinking about the checkout anymore. He was thinking about the pattern. The way the machine had reacted 3 times in a row. The way other customers had passed through without a single interruption. The way the employees had looked at him first, and the system second. He adjusted the bag in his hand and started walking. Not fast, not slow, just steady. The city around him continued as normal. People laughing outside a cafe, a couple arguing softly near a bus stop, music leaking from a parked car. Life didn't pause for moments like the one he had just experienced. It rarely did. But Marcus noticed something as he walked. He noticed how often he was still replaying it in his mind. Not because he was confused, but because he was familiar with it. A few blocks down, he passed another store. This one had brighter lights, a more modern entrance, a different brand. Through the glass, he could see another self-checkout section. A woman scanning items, a man waiting behind her, a staff member standing nearby. Normal, ordinary. But Marcus slowed slightly, just for a second, because now he was looking differently. Not paranoid, not angry, just aware. He kept walking. His phone buzzed in his pocket, but he didn't check it immediately. He waited until he reached a quieter corner near a streetlight, then pulled it out. A message from a friend. Something casual, something unrelated. He stared at it for a moment before replying. Short, simple, just left the store. Long story. He put the phone back. Because how do you explain something like that in one sentence? How do you explain the feeling of being watched differently without anything being said out loud? A group of teenagers passed him, laughing, pushing each other, lightly, completely in their own world. One of them dropped a wrapper, laughed, kept walking. Marcus watched it for a second, not judging, just noticing how effortless everything felt for them. No second guessing, no reading between lines, just movement. He turned the corner and continued toward the busier part of the street. The city center was louder here. More people, more lights, more noise. And yet, inside all of it, Marcus felt quieter. Not emotionally. Mentally, like something had settled into place. Not new, just confirmed again. He stopped at a crosswalk, waiting for the light to change. A man standing next to him glanced at him briefly, then looked away. A woman across the street was scrolling on her phone, barely looking up at anything. The light turned green. People started crossing. Marcus moved with them. Halfway across, he noticed a small grocery store on the corner. Another self-checkout system visible through the window. A different brand, different place, same concept. He almost smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. Inside that store, someone was probably scanning items without issue right now. Someone else might be waiting for assistance for reasons that had nothing to do with them, and somewhere, a system would decide what needed attention and what didn't. He crossed the street and kept walking. The bag in his hand felt lighter now, not because it weighed less, but because he wasn't focused on it anymore. His thoughts had shifted, not to frustration, not to anger, but to understanding. Because what he had experienced wasn't loud enough for most people to call it anything. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't obvious. It was subtle, repetitive, easy to dismiss individually, harder to ignore when seen together. A few more minutes passed, and Marcus reached a small park area. He slowed down again, this time choosing a bench near the edge where the street noise softened slightly. He sat down, placed the bag beside him, and leaned back. For the first time since leaving the store, he let himself fully stop moving. The sky above was darkening, shifting from blue to deep gray. Streetlights flickered on one by one. He thought about the employees, not as villains, not as enemies, but as people reacting to something without fully questioning why they reacted that way. That was the part that stayed with him, because intent and impact weren't always the same thing. He had seen that too many times. A jogger passed by the park path, breathing heavily, focused only on his run. A couple sat on a bench farther away, sharing headphones, laughing quietly at something on a phone screen. Life kept moving. Marcus exhaled slowly. He wasn't looking for validation. He wasn't looking for confrontation. He was just noticing what happened when systems, habits, and assumptions overlap without anyone stopping to ask why. His phone buzzed again. This time, he checked it. Another message from the same friend, who always say, "Long story, what happened now?" Marcus stared at the screen for a moment, then typed slowly. It wasn't one thing. It was how many times it happened without reason. He sent it and put the phone down again, because even that explanation felt incomplete. Some experiences don't fit into clean summaries. They only make sense when you see the pattern behind them. A few minutes later, he stood up from the bench, picked up his bag, and started walking again. The city had shifted into full evening now, lights brighter, noise softer, movement slower, and Marcus moved through it all the same way he had before. Calm, steady, aware, not because he expected something to happen again, but because he understood that sometimes the most important part of a moment isn't what it does to you while it's happening. It's what it makes you notice afterward. And once you start noticing that pattern, you don't really stop seeing it.